All right, I hope these birds aren't too loud. Welcome to Lake Lurker Fishing. Today is something a little different. We're gonna go over 5 baits to be used in October and early fall for this beginning of the fall transition. I'm in Central Virginia. Right now it's mid 80s. Water temperature is still pretty hot. It's been pretty hot the past week. You'll see that in the video that I upload in a couple days. The fishing's rough right now. It's gonna get real good soon. First of all, please follow me on Instagram. I can engage a lot easier there. I'm very active on Instagram. So please give my Instagram a follow. It's Lake Lurker Fishing. And please like and subscribe to the channel. I want to know what you guys want to see, and I enjoy doing this. So let's get right into it. Sorry to interrupt. All these that I'm talking about, I'll have a link in the description down below. Use my code, I get a little bit of a kickback if you buy from those links. Also for Wolfbite, I'm part of their pro team. And I love their stuff. I wouldn't recommend it if it sucked. They make a great lure at a great price. And use my code LakeLurker15 to get 15% off your entire purchase. Thanks. Bait number 1, and this is going to be the obvious one. In the fall, in October, lipless crank. Early fall, pretty much year round besides heavy summer, that heat. Lipless crank's great. The fish are moving everywhere. You can fan cast these, as you see me do in certain videos, and cover a lot of area. They mimic the small bait fish that the fish are busting on this time of year. One of the biggest benefits of the lipless crank is when you reel that in, even if you don't catch anything, you pull up that big clump of green grass, that healthy grass, not the grass that's dying away. You're almost guaranteed to find bass in that area. Not every time, but most of the time. So as far as lipless cranks go, the baits I like to use, number 1 for me lately has been the 6 Sense. That's the Quake 70. This is the bluegill pattern. I've liked that one a lot recently for other lipless cranks. I dig the Yozuri, the silent vibe is what they call it. This is if you don't want something with rattles. It has a little tiny, it almost sounds like the hooks shaking around. You can always go with the old-fashioned, the rattle trap, the OG lipless crank. That silver in the water, you can tell this thing has teeth marks on teeth marks on teeth marks on it. I've had this for a while. KVD red-eyed shad, you can't go wrong with the KVD red-eyed shad. Pick colors that make sense to you. Obviously I like the bluegills. I like the silver, and I like something that's like a shad imitation. These colors, you're going to notice a theme in fall bait fish. For the rod, I like to throw a lipless crank on. It's the custom speed stick that I use. It doesn't have to be Lew's, it doesn't have to be any brand. It's just basically the length and the action is what's most important. And I hooked my pants. Length, I throw a 7/6. This is a medium heavy with a fast action, and I use 12-pound copolymer. Sometimes I throw fluorocarbon, but I like the copolymer. I like the hook set. It's just what I like. Bait number 2. Popper. I think poppers are the funnest way to fish by far. You can fish a popper almost any time of year, but it seems to do the best this time of year. You can throw it anywhere. You can throw it from the banks. You can throw it as you're burning the bank on, your John boat or your kayak. You can hit those random jumping fish that are just out in the middle of the lake that never are able to be caught. Poppers are fun, and there's something about a popper bite that I love. Lures I like to throw are the 6 Sense splashback. I love the splashback. It's a great popper. It's not too over the top. It's not too crazy. Another one that's really good. This is the River to Sea. The River to Sea has more of a like a smaller bloop, a smaller plop. Another one, Mega Bass Pop X. Not as strong as a bloop as that splashback from 6 Sense. And this one is almost the gentlest of them all. This is the Yozuri popper. I think this is called, yeah, 3DRX popper 65. I don't know if it's focusing, but I do like this. I like this color. For the colors I like to use, I like bluegill patterns. I like that bluegill. I like bone. Bone, as far as topwater goes, bone is that's my universal favorite color for a topwater bait. Even in lakes that don't have shad, bone just seems to work. You can throw it in rivers, you can throw it in lakes. And if you're not going to use bluegill or bone, I like black. I know this is the river to sea loon pattern, but a black topwater works too. And then we have like the mega bass. This is kind of in between a shad and a bluegill pattern, but I dig it. Can't go wrong there. For the rods on a popper is very angler preferential. It really depends on what you like to throw. For me personally, I like throwing poppers, you know, from anything from a medium light all the way up to a medium heavy. And a lot of people are like that. Currently, I have my popper tied onto a medium heavy. This is a 7-foot medium heavy fast action. This is the Lose TP1. Brand doesn't matter. As far as line goes, that's also very preferential. I think straight mono or copolymer works best. 30-pound braid with 10-pound mono really does it. Right now I think I'm running 12-pound copolymer. If you throw mono on fluorocarbon, which you shouldn't do, fluorocarbon sinks and it gives the popper a very weird action. It drags instead of it sitting like it's supposed to in the water. It almost pulls it the front and down, so when you pop it, instead of it blooping, it just kind of dives and then floats to the top. Bait number 3, Squarebill. Squarebills, they're a good bait where you can cover water. You can throw them anywhere. You know, they're not going to dive as deep as a deep diving crankbait, but that's one of the benefits of the Squarebill. You can fish it in shallower water, but the main benefit of the Squarebill is, you're never going to believe it, is its square bill. The square bill allows it to bounce off cover. So you see sunken trees, you see laydowns, big rock piles. Throw the Squarebill in it, don't be shy. Smash that Squarebill into any cover you can find. When it hits it hits and bounces up. And that's usually the type of like erratic action that will get the fish to bite. For the Squarebill, I like the Rapala Big Brat. It's kind of on the bigger size of the Squarebill. The Big Brat's been great. I think the paint job's beautiful. It has very little rattle, but I like that about it. This is the old standby KVD 1.5s. That is the Squarebill way. That has like been the Squarebill for quite some time. Another great Squarebill. This is the Mock Baits Bouncer. I'm really happy with this. This has kind of been a skunk eliminator for me. Great paint job. I think this is their perch color, but it resembles, you know, a gill or a bait fish. Speaking of colors and sticking with a pattern, colors I like. Bluegill, bait fish, whatever your primary source of food is, whether it's perch or bluegill, green sunfish. Then you have your shad pattern. That's like the sexy shad or whatnot. And get funky with a chartreuse. Chartreuse is great. Sometimes, you know, there's obviously no bright, screaming bright yellow fish that are in the lakes around here. Not even the yellow perch look like that. But sometimes they don't want something that looks the same as everything else. Being that oddball sticks out. For the rod that I throw a Squarebill on, call me crazy or call me poor, I use the same rod that I throw the Lipless crank on. 7.6 medium heavy fast action. I use the same line, 12-pound copoly. You use what works best for you, but that seems to be what's working best for me. Bait number 4, we're losing light. Let's get at it. Spinnerbait. This is a weapon in the fall. Always has been, always will be. The spinnerbait, like the lipless crank, you can fan cast it, you can throw it anywhere, and do not be afraid to throw a spinnerbait into cover. Fallen trees, laydowns, rock piles. Spinnerbaits, they have a weird shape to them, but the whole thing is within here. So it's not going to get snagged that easy. With that being said, do not throw it into grass like you would throw a lipless crank. That does not work well. It gets all tangled up in this, and the grass will get wrapped around, and it's just, don't throw a spinnerbait into grass. For spinnerbait lures that I like, I've used a lot of spinnerbaits over the days. For me, I've landed on wolfbite. Wolfbite is, that are my favorite spinnerbait. I think one of the best benefits about the wolfbite bait is you can fish it fast, you can fish it slow, and it still has a very clean and consistent action. It doesn't start tipping on its side. You know, the blades still spin at an appropriate rate. And like I said, you can throw it into anything and it doesn't get snagged up. It holds a trailer well too. Speaking of trailers, I like using a paddle tail most of the time. Currently I like Biospawn Exo Swins and Riverwise Fishing, they have a paddle tail. Spinnerbaits, I don't get too creative. As far as colors go, I like a gill pattern, and I like gold blades in the fall. I like the gold blade on a spinnerbait. I have the electric shad trailer here, but double willow blades if I really feel like getting crazy. This is another bait by Wolfbite. This is their bluegill V2. These colors are a little more vibrant. So for vibrant colors, you'd want to use, for me personally, I use them in murky waters. We got silver Colorado blades. I like those a little better in murky water. And then if your lake, the primary forage is shad, throw a white spinnerbait or white and a little bit of chartreuse. That seems to be a great combo. For the rod I use for spinnerbait, I like a 610 medium heavy. Fast action. The shorter rod allows me to make more accurate casts, and it's a little more sensitive, so I can feel the blades spinning in the water. You pull real hard and it vibrates hard. Line, I like any 12 to 15 pound fluorocarbon or copoly. I think I'm throwing fluorocarbon right now. Either works, just depends on what you like fishing more. Sometimes people like that little extra stretch you get from the copoly where the fluoro doesn't have so much stretch. And bait number 5. These baits that we've talked about earlier, they've been used to cover ground, cover water, really start moving through a whole bunch of different water. You can fan cast. This one is not the case, and there's going to be people who argue with me on this, but I like it. It's worked for me. Bait number 5. This is where I'm going to lose all my watchers. Is a Wacky rig. Just a simple old fashioned Wacky. Those of you who know how to throw a Wacky rig, you rocket scientists that throw this, Wacky rig, you throw it and let it sink. Fish bite it on the sink. Wacky rig brands I like. Riverwise makes a stick bait called a toad stick. Thing's sweet, lasts forever. Other baits, I don't have them all out with me. Yum dingers. Nothing super fancy about that. Stick baits have been around forever. I feel like anyone who's watching this video knows what a Wacky is. For colors, lately I've kind of been digging that purple. Yum has one called Morning Dawn. It's like a violet color. But if you want to use the old standby, green pumpkin for clear water. If your water is muddy, throw blue black. Throw straight black if you're fishing in chocolate milk. Seems to do the trick. For rods I use, I throw spinning setups. 7 foot. Well, this is a 611. This is a 7 foot. Both are medium. This is an extra fast. This is a fast. I've caught millions of fish on this one. I've had this for 5 years, and I've really done some work. This is probably the rod I have the most fish catches with in my life, and most of them have been on a Wacky rig. I know that's not a Wacky rig that's on there right now. But for line, I like 20-pound braid. I got 20-pound braid on both of these to 8 to 10-pound fluorocarbon leader. That's very important, having that fluorocarbon leader on there. Fluorocarbon will help your wacky rig sink at a little bit faster, and sink in is when the fish tend to bite. That's all I got for you. I hope October fishing works well for you. I hope the fall transition works well. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know if you want more of these bait videos. I really don't know what I'm doing, so I'm trying to have fun with it. I hope this camera angle doesn't suck. And please like and subscribe. I don't know if I said that already. Thanks.